Do you want to sound like a Band 8 Plus candidate? By watching this video, you will learn more than 100 high-level collocations and advanced grammar about media and culture. Stay with me. These ideas transform the way you express yourself. I'm Leila, an IELTS coach, helping students master the writing and speaking with easy strategies. Now let's jump right in. Last time, we explored how some giant companies, giant corporations, media corporations, can reduce cultural diversity by controlling what people see and watch. And in today's lesson, we'll continue with topic 2 from Mat Clark's book, analyzing the second body paragraph all the way to the end of the essay. Here is the topic sentence of body paragraph 2. It says, in addition to seizing control over those creative industries, global entertainment companies affect cultural diversity by reshaping perceptions, beliefs, and norms of ordinary citizens in different countries. Let's simplify it. Besides taking over those creative industries, global companies also shape the way people think, act, or behave. Why is it important? Because it links directly back to the thesis statement, the statement in your introduction, in my opinion, blah, blah, blah. And in this essay, we argue the global media is a threat to cultural diversity, and this sentence shows exactly how control of industries leads to control of culture that result in a loss of cultural diversity. So a topic sentence should do two jobs: state a clear idea and connect it back to the thesis statement. Now let's look at some powerful collocations here. First, seizing control over, or simply taking over and dominating, or you can say grabbing the power of or getting control of. Instead of this, you can use high-level alternatives like consolidating control over. It suggests building a stronger, more permanent power. Consolidate control over and seizing control over are similar but slightly different. Seizing control over is actively taking control, often suddenly or aggressively, emphasizing the action of taking and grabbing power, while consolidating control is strengthening or making control more secure. It emphasizes maintaining and reinforcing power. Another alternative, strong alternative, is tightening their grip on. Means making control more stronger. Imagine someone literally holding something tightly in their hand. It becomes harder for others to take it away. In social, political, or media context, it means one group, like giant corporations, is increasing control and limiting competition. It is useful to understand another phrase, reshape perception. What can we use instead of reshape perceptions? For a top-level elegant choice, the two best alternatives to reshape perceptions are transform perceptions or reframe perceptions. One is transforming perceptions, emphasizing a strong, significant change in the way people think. And reframe perceptions, when you want to highlight a new way of looking at things. You can also use mold public opinion, focusing on shaping or guiding attitudes carefully over time, gradually, rather than a sudden change, an immediate change. Often implies a deliberate influence by someone in authority or an institution. Use mold if you want to emphasize long-term influence or careful shaping. Use transform for a strong immediate change, and use reframe for new perspective or fresh thinking. Another key phrase is ordinary citizen. You can look at the original sentence. That's C1 level and means people who belong to a country or a community, regular members of the public. We have some alternatives for it. First, everyday people, great for speaking and writing. We have members of society or members of the public, all refer to the general public. Here we have a prepositional phrase in addition to. It adds extra information. After to, we don't use the base verb. We have ing verb, ing form. Why? Because in addition to, the word to is a preposition, not part of the infinitive. And after prepositions in English, we always use a noun or ing verb. Example from our essay. In addition to seizing control over, that's correct. But in addition to seize control is incorrect. Always remember, in addition to plus ing verb. This is a very common IELTS structures and make your writing sound more natural. Now we have the second sentence of body paragraph 2. It says, most of the cultural values and ideals promoted by the leading mainstream media are of American origin. In simple terms, it means that the majority of people, morals, and ways of thinking are being spread by the most influential global media outlets. And these beliefs mainly come from American culture. What's the meaning of leading mainstream media? First, mainstream media. That refers to the major news outlets that most people follow, such as TV networks like BBC, CNN, leading newspapers like the New York Times, and online news platforms like Yahoo News. Now, when we add leading, it means the most important, influential, or respected ones. So, leading mainstream media refers to the most trusted news organizations that shape public opinion. For example, according to the leading mainstream media, the new policy will affect millions. Another phrase is most of, that we use to talk about the majority of something, more than half. It works with both countable and uncountable nouns like students or information or water. Most of the students, most of the information. Both of them are correct. We can also use some higher level alternatives to make your writing stronger, such as the majority of, the vast majority of, a large proportion of, and almost all of. Okay, we have just discussed most of. Now let's move on to another phrase, useful phrase, promoted by. When you say something is promoted by someone, it means it is supported, advertised, or encouraged by them. You could say also championed by, if it's defended actively. And finally, the phrase are of. It has slightly different meanings depending on the context. It usually means come from, belong to, and have, depending on the context. For example, these ideas are of American origin. This means these ideas come from American origin. Another meaning, the students are of high ability, shows the students possess high ability. Or this painting is of historical value, which means it has historical, it has or have. Now let's focus on 3 powerful collocations. First, we have material wealth. This refers to money, property, or economic success. In IELTS writing, you can replace it with financial prosperity or monetary success. It describes when people value possessions more than values. Second, communal life. This is a beautiful phrase that means living collectively, valuing group cooperation over individual goals. Alternatives include collective living or community lifestyle. Communal life and collective living are interchangeable. They imply cooperation and shared ownership, like cooking, like cleaning, childcare, but a community lifestyle is about values and social interactions can be in any area, even if people don't share a house. And third, family solidarity. This collocation is all about family unity and loyalty. You can also say kinship bonds or family unity. So, you see each collocation here contrasts Western values like material wealth with Asian traditions like communal life and family solidarity. This contrast is the writer's key points. Here the author writes, unfortunately, many Asian people now imitate American people, causing the alteration of their perceptions of family. Let's notice the grammar. Why is this grammar so powerful? If we wanted, we could write this original sentence in two very simple sentences like this. Many Asian people imitate Americans. This causes changes in their view of family. But that sounds basic, right? In IELTS, we need more variety and complexity. So we boost our grammar by connecting them with an ing clause. That way, we show the action and result in the same elegant sentence. Here is the structure. First, we have the main clause. What's the main clause here? The main clause carries the complete idea. Many Asian people imitate Americans. That's the main clause. After the main clause, we have a comma. We put a comma. And after the comma, we add an ing clause, causing the alteration. The ing clause is not a full clause because it doesn't have a subject. It's like an extra add-on that shows result, reason, or effect. In other words, an ing clause is a group of words built around a verb ending in ing. Take this as an example. He fell breaking his leg. The main clause is he fell. The part breaking his leg is an ing clause. It shows the result of falling. One important rule. The subject of the ing clause is the same subject as the main clause. So here, who is causing the change? The same people who imitate. Let's break the sentence step by step. First, the radical change. Radical just means big and very serious. Next can be attributed to. Simply means caused by or happens because of. Example, her success can be attributed to hard work. In other words, her success happened because of hard work. Simple, right? Or this example, the failure can be attributed to poor planning or happened because of poor planning. Finally, portray movies. Portray in this original sentence. Portray means shows, present. So if we simplify, this big change happened because movies and TV shows show the success of Americans. Can be attributed to. We explore the grammar. Can is a modal verb showing possibility. Here it means it's possible to say that. Be is used for passive voice, as the structure of passive voice is to be plus past participle. We need be. We use passive voice because we want to focus on the effect, the radical change, not the people causing it. Attributed is the past participle of attribute, considered as caused by. Finally, to. can be attributed to. To links the effect to the cause, the changes to the TV programs. Look how this sentence starts the third body paragraph. First, notice the flow. In paragraph 2, we talked about values and family life. Now we expand the idea to lifestyle in general. Pay attention to collocations in this sentence. The loss of media diversity. Loss means something valuable is gone. Media diversity means different shows, different types of shows and music. So loss of media diversity implies we don't have much variety anymore. Second collocation in this sentence, narrow sense of. Narrow means small or limited. Sense of means understanding. So, narrow sense of means limited understanding. And the last one, ways of life, refers to lifestyle, tradition, and habits of people. So, if I put it together, the meaning is because there are fewer choices in the media, people have a very limited understanding of different lifestyle. This sentence is a topic sentence, right? It introduces a new point. Cultural diversity is shrinking because lifestyles are becoming narrow. It links back to the thesis about international media harming cultural diversity. Look at this sentence. The ruling class of many countries speak English, favors Western food, wears Western style jackets, and even prefers Western wedding. Here we see how global media shapes lifestyles at the top level of society. At the top level, I mean ruling class, elite groups. People who hold power, influence, like authority in a country. When the elite, those elites, those ruling class adopt these habits, they influence society and Western culture spreads everywhere. Because leaders often set trends for society. The sentence proves the claim in the topic sentence by giving concrete examples of lifestyle changes caused by global media influences. We continue. Here is the original sentence. Young people are captivated by American basketball, and some even daubing the names of NBA stars on their school sweatsuits. Notice the phrase "are captivated by." It's advanced and formal. It means being obsessed with or passionate about something. Be obsessed with means an unhealthy, having an unhealthy or extreme focus on something. For example, teenagers may be obsessed with social media or video games, or society can be obsessed with money. Notice the negative tone, it suggests a problem. On the other hand, we use be passionate about to describe a positive, a strong positive interest. For instance, many young people are passionate about protecting the environment. Next, NBA stars are simply the famous players from America's top basketball league. And school sweatsuits are just sport uniform, casual sport clothes like track suits, t-shirts, or hoodies. Now the word "dull," it means to paint or write roughly. But golden IELTS tip, it's too informal for writing. Instead of this, we could say print. In active voice, the subject does the action. Pay attention. Who does the action? The subject. For example, basketball captivates young people. Here, basketball is the subject doing the action of attracting. In the passive voice, the focus shifts to the receiver of action. For example, young people are captivated by basketball. Now the focus is on young people, the ones who are affected by the action. The subject receives the action of infraction, not doing that. Now I explain how this sentence connected to the main idea. Young people are not just following basketball, they are copying the lifestyle, even decorating their clothes with American player names. That's a strong example of how international media influences daily life and reduces cultural diversity. We have the original sentence again. Let's analyze it. It says all these transformations in life are the result of audiences' exposure to Hollywood movies, TV shows, or sports reports. Look at three academic words in this sentence. First, are the result of is a formal way to say because of. For example, these changes are the result of exposure to Western media. Its synonyms caused by, stem from, occur due to. Second, transformation refers to a major or complete change. It's perfect for describing big changes in society or behavior. Synonyms include change, shift, alteration, or revolution. Example, globalization has led to a cultural transformation in society. Third, exposure, being in contact with or affected by something. Collocations with exposure, exposure to Western media, exposure to harmful substances, exposure to different cultures. And with adjective, media exposure, prolonged exposure, for example, prolonged exposure to pollution damages health. Excessive exposure to social media can harm mental health. Or early exposure. I read the next sentence. The loss of media diversity will lead to the degradation of culture and to a minimization of cultural diversity. This sentence is showing a clear cause and effect. When media diversity disappears, culture loses its strength. When all kids worldwide watch the same content, the same cartoon, they follow the same celebrities, or wear the same branded clothes, the erosion of local culture is inevitable. Traditional music is replaced by global pop. Notice the parallel structure in this sentence to the degradation and to a minimization. What is this structure? Parallel structure means matching the forms of words or phrases in a sentence like verbs, noun, matching them. Examples for this structure: students need to study, practice, and improve. It's correct. But when you say students need to study, improving, it followed by ing, that's incorrect. It is about making all words in a list the same type. For example, if you are listing verbs, all must be verbs. If you are listing noun phrases, all must match. Like here, degradation of, maximization of. For degradation of culture, stronger alternatives are erosion of cultural identity, cultural heritage, decline in cultural richness, undermining of cultural uniqueness, homogenization of culture, reduction in cross-cultural variety. For minimization of culture, you can say narrowing of culture, shrinking of cultural variety, loss of multicultural richness, and instead of will lead to, use more academic phrases like result in, contribute to, gives rise to, and paves the way for. So the sentence becomes the decline in media variety contribute to the erosion of cultural identity and the narrowing of cultural horizon. Using a strong collocation like this boosts your lexical score and makes your argument convincing. The sentence is perfect for showing concern in writing. It starts with it is a worrying trend, a strong way to signal importance. Then it explains why people need cultural diversity to preserve and pass on their heritage. That includes not just traditions or art, but everyday lifestyles, like food, fashion, and celebrations. And for worrying trend, alternatives are alarming trend, concerning development, and troubling patterns. For preserve heritage, you can say safeguard traditions, protect cultural identity, and maintain customs. And instead of pass on to future generation, use these phrases: transmit to descendant, or hand down. And for valuable heritage, you can say rich cultural legacy or treasured traditions. Let's wrap up this conclusion. Here we start with as shown above. Instead of saying in conclusion, it's like saying, look at what I explained earlier. Now I'm showing final points. Our sentence, as shown above, international media controlled by a handful of transnational media corporations is exporting Western culture worldwide and putting many indigenous cultures at the risk of extinction. These companies are exporting culture. That's really beautiful, isn't it? That we can use export with culture. This process endangered local traditions and puts indigenous cultures, native or local heritage, put them on the brink of extinction. You can say at the edge of disappearing. Or like this sentence, put them at the risk of extinction. What does it mean? This exportation endangered local traditions, threatening indigenous cultures, which includes native heritage, community customs, and ethnic traditions. Notice this powerful sentence. The uniformity of media programs has led to that of artworks, norms, and ways of life whenever international media goes. What does it mean? Whenever global media spreads through movies, TV shows, or social media, it doesn't just broadcast entertainment. It often standardizes cultures. The result, art starts to look the same. People's norms and lifestyles become similar. This is called cultural homogenization, meaning diversity fades and everything becomes uniform. Uniformity means sameness or lack of diversity. And we have has led to, you can say has caused to, has resulted in. That's for today's lessons. If you enjoy it, please don't forget to subscribe and below your comment. I would like to hear your thought. See you in the next video.